how to get ahead of 99% of people in life, and how can you achieve your 10-year goal in 6 months. This is a very interesting topic because I don't know if I even believe it myself. So what does that even mean when you have your 10-year goal? Well, it can of course depend on you, but I would say that health and wealth are pretty damn good things to aim for. So how do you achieve it? Well, if you look at you, for instance, want to be effective in your health or your wealth, it is about having good systems of doing something. So when we think about, for instance, our business or career, you want to set yourself in a very unique position, and you might be thinking that, okay, but how do I do that? It's not that easy to become an outlier. Well, in today's world, it is actually a lot easier compared to history. Because if we even look back 10 years ago, the world has changed so much. You can have so much more leverage these days. For instance, I'm using this phone to talk to you. You can, the world is decentralized, for instance. Whatever you believe in Web3, cryptos and so on, that is also a dynamic that is changing. And you can start a company from anywhere around the world. It doesn't have to be, for instance, in Silicon Valley where the hotspot is. You can, for instance, like I've done, set up a Discord channel, start building a company online. So this is very interesting because the speed of information is so fast. The world is moving so fast. And for instance, like Sam Altman, who is the CEO at OpenAI, he talks about him having actually, saying that in a few years there will be, or very soon there will be, a 1 billion company made from only a few people. And in fact, that he has a bet with his CEO friends in a WhatsApp group, apparently, that when is there going to be a 1 billion one-person company? So I would say that is kind of a very interesting thought to think about. I don't know if I believe it myself. It might be a marketing stunt, but for at least as a thought, it can be pretty interesting. So okay, so the world is moving pretty fast forward, right? But it can, of course, feel overwhelming, and it is overwhelming. We are not built that way actually to handle this amount of, information, I believe. So, of course, you need to get a balance there. So, for instance, if you sit a lot at your desk, you're working long hours, you need to balance it with our most natural way of doing things. And that is what a lot of people forget about, and since they forget it, you can easily become top 1%. So, and it isn't even about being ahead of them. It is actually about enjoying life, doing movement and training. So what I think is that when you have done with work, you should always have some hobby. I always talk about the 80-20 rule. You want to focus on the 20% that gives you 80% of the results. For instance, I do calisthenics, skateboarding, martial arts, weightlifting. And I think that this is a very nice way of getting the counterbalance from sitting all day. And for instance, Joe Rogan talks about that, most days that you should be motivated to train because it's so important, and most days he actually feels like he's not motivated to actually work out. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's the way it is for him, and maybe it is for many people. But I found myself that when we think about when we were kids that we wanted to go to the playground, we weren't thinking about how many reps do we do. For instance, I always talk about that you should be aiming reps close to failure, 10 sets per muscle group per week. So this becomes very scientific. But when you were a kid, you didn't go to the playground and think that, hey, I should be, climbing here, jumping around, and have I done enough reps? So what if that's actually the wrong set? Think about it, that you don't just want to think about it like, have I actually put in my reps? That's why I became very intrigued with skateboarding, muscle ups, because it's such an excellent compound movement exercise, but it's also so damn fun. And I think that's the most important part, that can you develop a physique and a mind through exercise, because we know how important it is. You should get your anaerobic and aerobic exercise in, But what if it is about the movement itself, that when you prioritize having fun there, that's actually when you start to truly compound over a long time. And when you start to compound there, then you go back to your business or career, everything starts to flow much better. So then maybe that opens like patterns for you to start thinking about those 10-year goals. Maybe it's possible, I don't know. But I certainly think it's super interesting, and especially because it's so important to do exercise. And like Socrates legendary said, and this I know for a fact, I think that for a man to not see himself develop his true physical prowess is a shame. Like, you can do so little and achieve so much in strength training. And once you start to like integrate these together, you get a pretty cool way of, you know, being more relaxed, and also, you know, you can push yourself hard, and then you can start again thinking about that 10-year goal, and how can I find something like some pattern that could take me at least closer to it in 6 months. Because like I said, like you might have a career in, say, engineering or in finance or in consulting, and you might be thinking about that, hey, I should start my business, but I don't know where to start, I think it's embarrassing, whatever. But then you do exercise, you become more relaxed, and then you start thinking that, hey, I'm really good at my career, but something is holding me back there. Maybe I should start this small like side hustle, and you don't just go on a random like drop shipping business. You actually combine it to your niche, what you are really good at. Because not like Naval Ravikant says, you should be the best in the world, and that way nobody can compete with you and you can do anything. And for instance, like me, I have like few skills. I'm not I can't, you know, code or this, but I have like a finance background and an entrepreneurial background and calisthenics background and so on. So when I start to think about these, putting them together, then I can truly start thinking about being that quote unquote top 1% and develop that personal monopoly. And this is exactly what, for instance, Peter Thiel, who is probably the godfather of Silicon Valley, he was together with Elon Musk founding PayPal, and also invested early on in, for instance, Facebook or Meta these days. And he always talks about how like all best companies in the world are unique, and those that aren't unique, they're all the same because they will fail. And compared to, for instance, when you think about life, you have all unhappy families are different, but all happy families are the same. So that's the other way around for businesses. You always want to aim for a monopoly. And what that means is basically, well, we always say that monopoly is a bad thing, but I don't think you should be thinking it that way, that you want to have some monopoly position in a huge market. You actually just want to develop a true product in some certain niche and have a very unique selling point for it that all customers want it at demand, so you can scale your company. So these are kind of like very interesting, at least, thoughts to think about, that how can you actually set yourself in that unique position that you don't have to, for instance, be an Olympic athlete. You don't have to like start the next Google. You don't have to be the best in the world in a specific career, but when you start combining them together, maybe you have something interesting there, and maybe you can achieve your 10-year goals in 6 months. All right, so hit the like button, comment, do you agree? And also, when you comment, make sure you join the community. I will send you my 80-20 book. It's a 50-pager on how I went from out of shape to training with UFC champion Georges St-Pierre, breaking the national muscle-up record on my lunch break, building our business. See you in the next video.